Part 140. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1401. Master Mu was furious, he wanted to slap him with a slap, he raised his hand in the air, looking at this face that resembled his own when he was young, but he couldn't slap him no matter what. At the age of 15 or 16, he is bold and reckless, rebellious and extreme, ignoring the rules-filled world built by adults, and growing up in it with bravery and stumbles. Can this slap tame him? Cannot. It serves no purpose other than to make him more stubborn about his choice. Master Mu let go of his hands, feeling mixed feelings in his heart. In the past, he admired his unruliness the most, but now it is this unruliness that bothers him the most. He sat down weakly, and said in a deep voice, Bai Suxin from the Bai family just got married not long ago, do you know where she got married? Mu Zishuan frowned, I only know that she got married and went out of town. No one knows, it's because of disgrace, Master Mu said. At the end of last year, Boss Yang of Xinjiang department store led the Bai family to introduce Bai Suxin to the boss of a shipping company as a concubine. Marry far away. Mu Zishuan didn't understand, what does this have to do with Bai Wei? He has money and status, if he doesn't look for an 18-year-old girl, why should he fall in love with a 38-year-old Bai Suxin? Master Mu snorted coldly, with a contemptuous tone, women in the Bai family are all raised with medicine. Yes, I heard that even if you are an old woman in her 50s or 60s, her lower head is still as tight as a virgin, which can make a man taste the marrow and taste it, and linger in his dreams. The Bai family is not as good as the previous generation, and now they don't even want face. Mu Zishuan's face turned pale slightly, and his expression froze. Master Mu looked at him, now do you understand? If someone finds a woman from the Bai family as a mistress, everyone will think it is a beautiful thing and a blessing, but have you ever seen someone marry back to be a decent wife? I was ridiculed. If you really married Bai Wei, where would I put my old face? Mu Zishuan's mind was a little confused, and he murmured, there is no evidence for what you said, besides, Bai Wei's cousin is already married. That means marrying out of town. Outsiders don't know about these rotten things. But whoever knows this, who dares to marry back? Master Mu looked at him with hatred, even if you don't cherish your reputation and don't care about the Mu family's gossip, what about the future? What will happen in the future? Will a child born to a woman who was raised with medicine be able to be something went wrong? It's 3-point poison, such a simple truth, you should know it. Mu Zishuan didn't think about children, he was still a child himself, he only hoped to be happy with Bai Wei day and night, and breeding offspring was too far away for him. At this moment, being pointed out by Master Mu, he only felt his head buzzing, trying to sort out a few thoughts, but they were all fragmented. He didn't know when the old man left. He sat alone in the study until midnight. The housekeeper, Li Bo, personally brought chicken porridge, put it beside him, and persuaded him, young master, no matter what the reason is, I'm fine. Don't make trouble with your body, you haven't eaten anything this night, so drink some porridge. Mu Zishuan came back to his senses, glanced at the bowl of porridge, nodded, thank you Uncle Li. Master, the banquet held today is all to pave the way for you, to meet more friends of the same age, and to help you in the future, young master, no matter what the master says or does, it must be for your own good. If you don't accept the kindness, don't let the old man feel cold. After hearing this, Mu Zishuan said in a low voice, I understand, I just don't like those girls, I find it boring. Li Bo said with a smile, when the master was your age, just like you, he didn't like the fiancée that the family had arranged for him, but preferred those beautiful ones who could sing and dance. Look, didn't you get your wish in the end? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1402. When the first wife passed away, Mr. Mu was 38 or 19 years old, and he was at the peak of his career. He is handsome and rich, mature and funny, but the most attractive age is when he is a widow, attracting countless women. Everyone is thinking, who will become the new mistress of the Mu family? In the end, Mu Zishuan's mother, Luo Junkai, came out on top. The young Huaiden who has just turned 20 years old has a natural good voice, and she can sing people's hearts. Mu Zishuan understood Uncle Li's meaning: follow his parents' wishes first, and when he grows up and has the ability, no one will interfere even if he marries an unpopular singer or actor into his family. But, he couldn't help but ask himself, when he grows up, is there still time? Can Bai Wei wait for him? Others always say that youth is an advantage, but when it comes to him, it becomes a complete disadvantage. Because I'm too young, I can't do anything. Even if I do, it's all wrong, messy, and not recognized. When he went to school the next day, Mu Zishuan was a little absent-minded. He was thinking how credible his father's words were, and he was also thinking about what consequences would result if he insisted on doing it. To be honest, it's hard to imagine. Because he was favored by the family since he was a child, even if Master Mu loses his temper at him, it is usually a little bit of thunder and rain, but in the end he will compromise and satisfy his willful demands. So he couldn't imagine the situation where he broke with his father. Huang Mao has no energy either. Uncle Fat hasn't bought much recently. Huang Mao has seen almost all the movies in the store, and he has fallen into a serious spiritual emptiness. Brother Chuan, shall we go to karaoke after school? Huang Mao said. Mu Zishuan was not interested. I won't go. Go, Huang Mao sighed, just be with Datu. What happened to the big head? What else can I do? I'm broken in love. Huang Mao raised his chin at the big head's seat. His goddess, Bai Suxin, is married. Mu Zishuan frowned. What's wrong? Taking a 38-year-old woman as a goddess? I'm not happy that people have Oedipus complex. Besides, isn't lovesickness just a disease? Huang Mao laughed twice. Contempt is contempt. Mu Zishuan still went. Thinking about it, I'm not much better, running after Bai Wei's ass like a fool, so don't laugh at 50 steps. The big head was sluggish all day, and after going to karaoke, he suddenly became crazy, holding the microphone and shouting like crazy, a sad song. He sang the temperament of rock and roll. Love is still a dream in the end. Don't say that our worlds are too different, just say that you have forgotten me and you are leaving me. Brother, can you sing? Huang Mao handed over another microphone. Mu Zishuan shook his head and asked Huang Mao, what is he singing about? Wang Ji's Forget You Forgot Me is very popular this year. Huang Mao picked out his ears and cursed with a smile, it's all out of tune. I still want to be a singer at this level. Big Head wants to be a singer. Yeah, he kept talking about going out for a break after graduation, and he also said that he wanted to form a band. Mu Zishuan smiled, this kid has quite a personality. Accompanying a friend to let off steam at karaoke, it was already late. The driver came to pick him up, and when he arrived at the door, he saw a figure standing under a tree. At first I couldn't see it clearly, but after getting out of the car, I realized it was Bai Wei. Mu Zishuan subconsciously wanted to cover up the school uniform on his body, but just raised his hand and felt stupid. There is no silver 300 taels here. So it's really you. Bai Wei walked over slowly with red eyes. Someone told me today that you look like the young master of the Mu family. They said that the young master of the Mu family is a genius, proficient in foreign languages, and he is only 15 years old this year. I'm already in the 2nd grade. Mu Zishuan parted his lips, not knowing how to explain it. He did cheat her, but he really didn't mean any harm. He felt more comfortable getting along with her this way. Bai Wei stood still in front of him, tears streaming down her face. Fraud. Good night. I won't abuse you too much, I'll take it lightly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1403. Without any suspense, Musician was dumped. Almost no girl can accept a minor as her lover, unless she herself is a minor. In addition, the times are not so open, and Bai Wei's personality is relatively traditional. In short, Bai Wei can't accept this fact at all. It was really dark. My mother died of a serious illness, my aunt left her hometown, and the closest lover left was a fake from beginning to end. Do all young masters from rich families play like this now? Pretending to be the little boss of a third-rate video studio, tricking girls into falling in love? Bai Wei was too shocked. No matter how Musician coaxed her, she still left angrily. After get off work the next day, Musician came to the hospital to block her again. Now that Bai Wei saw his face, she was angry and sad. She ignored him and walked straight forward with a straight face. Musician chased after her and pulled her arm. Bai Wei broke away from him. What are you doing? I have something to tell you. I do not want to hear. She walked forward quickly, but after a few steps, she was held back by Musician again, struggling again, but this time she was able to break free. Do you want to be shameless? She widened her eyes angrily. Don't mess around on the street. Musician didn't have a good face either. The daughter-in-law has already run away, why should I be ashamed? When I get it back, I still have a hot face to stick to someone else's cold ass. You're vulgar, Bai Wei scolded him with red eyes. Are all women like you, turning their heads faster than turning a book? You blushed when you talked to me yesterday, and today you pointed your nose and called me vulgar. Why didn't you think I was vulgar before? After all, Musician was young and energetic, and he couldn't bear to be tempered a little bit after being dumped. He felt wronged and angry. Musician pulled his collar to show Bai Wei. Who sewed these buttons for me? At the beginning, you were gentle and careless. You sewed clothes for me for a while, cooked for me for a while, and reminded me to add clothes when it was cold. What's the matter? Just because I am a few years behind in age, you turned your face. You don't recognize anyone, do you? Which one of us lied to the other? I think you are the liar. The female liar who lied to my feelings. Bai Wei couldn't say no to him, and broke down crying on the street. Covering his face, he knelt down and sobbed. Musician pulled her up, but she refused. Want me to hug you? He threatened. Bai Wei had no choice but to stand up, covering her eyes, and let him pull her forward. Go all the way to the grassy slope of the embankment. She sat down, still covering her eyes, tears streaming down her fingers. Musician forcibly broke his hand away, and he wiped her tears with the sleeve of his coat. He was a bit strong and the fabric was a bit hard, which made her cheeks burn and hurt, and the tears flowed even more urgently. Musician was annoyed. He took off his coat angrily, and threw it out viciously. Isn't it 3 years younger? Is it that important? He felt aggrieved. You can accept someone who is 2 years younger than you, why can't you accept someone who is 5 years younger? Bai Wei cried and said, you are not even an adult at the age of 15. You have only been an adult for 2 years, what is there to be proud of? Musician said, I think your mental age is not as good as mine, which is 15 years old. Not as good as you, then I'm an adult too. I'm an adult. What's so great about being an adult? It's only been 3 years. I'll be an adult in 3 years, so what's the problem? Bai Wei stood up angrily, with tears on her face. Yes, it's nothing difficult, then you can come to me after 3 years. She turned around to leave, but Musician grabbed her wrist. You didn't say anything clearly, Why are you leaving again? What else can I say? She lowered her head, watching her tears fall into the grass at her feet. If others know, how will they talk about us? My family will not agree, and neither will yours. You are so confused. Musician's face became ugly. I made you feel ashamed. Bai Wei didn't answer. She pulled her wrist from his shackles, and left without saying a word. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 1404. Like is really like, leaving him, she is also very painful, but after all, she didn't have the courage to take that step. 15 years old. At the age of studying, no matter how precocious and talented he is, he cannot break free from the secular net. We are all small fish in the net. If we break free from the net, we will be washed away by the turbulent current, leaving the school of fish, and drifting alone forever. This is a road of no return. Bai Wei dare not go, and she can't bear to let Musician accompany her. The two were deadlocked like this. One refused to let go, and the other refused to let go. Dreaming back in the middle of the night, thinking of his goodness, she would actually feel hesitant. One thing he said was right, she had only grown up for 2 years, she was also very young, she didn't know how to deal with this embarrassing situation, and she didn't know how to deal with it. How to pack up your heart. Occasionally at work, I heard the little nurses gossip, talking about the female teacher in the county, but I didn't know clearly from my students. What do teenage children know? It's probably because the female teacher seduced them on their own initiative, one of them said firmly. Bai Wei's head buzzed for a moment, and immediately afterwards, their chatter in a low voice seemed to have a loudspeaker, and every sentence pierced into her heart extremely vibratingly and sharply. It's too shameless. How can such a person be a teacher? It's disgusting. Isn't it? The most pitiful thing is the boy's parents, who are worried about the child. Bai Wei listened silently, her heart was in a mess. In the future, will everyone talk about her like this? It feels like being paraded. Someone suddenly asked, Bai Wei, I heard that your boyfriend looks very similar to the young master of the Mu family. Bai Wei's breathing stagnated and froze. Before she could open her mouth, another nurse who had a good relationship with her laughed cheerfully. It's just our small hospital, how could a young master from a rich family come? Opening a video studio on the street can make a lot of money. Everyone joked a few words, and the topic turned elsewhere. After all, most of the people they come into contact with, these little nurses, are working class people. No one knew what the real young master of the Mu family looked like. Even if he had the chance to see him at certain gatherings and banquets, he only had a glimpse from a distance and didn't have a deep impression on him. Bai Wei seemed to have escaped life and death, with cold sweat all over her back. She couldn't stay any longer, so she found a head nurse and wanted to ask for leave. Seeing that Bai Wei's face was pale and her forehead was covered with cold sweat, the head nurse didn't make things difficult for her, and immediately gave her a leave of absence to let her go home and rest. On the way home, the steps are sometimes deep and sometimes shallow, walking in a trance. After finally returning home and walking into the yard, they faintly heard the sound of arguing. She didn't pay much attention to it. The eldest aunt and uncle bickered and quarreled every day, and everyone was used to it. Just about to go back to her room, she heard her aunt say, I don't care. Anyway, from today onwards, Beiying and Beizi's medicines must be stopped. They are not allowed to take any more. Bai Wei's footsteps stagnated, her eyes widened, and slowly, she turned her head to look at the room where her uncle and aunt lived. What are you trying to do, uncle persuaded? How can there be a problem with the prescription that has been passed down for generations? Can you stop listening to the wind and the rain all day long? I heard that the wind is the rain. Can't you hear the words from outside? Are you deaf? It's all unfounded. Why do you believe everything? You have taken this medicine yourself. Have you ever had any problems? Xiaoying, tell me, have you ever had any problems? Mom, don't listen to that Mrs. Zhang's nonsense. Didn't she ask you for medicine a few years ago? If you didn't give it, she probably has a grudge. Anyway, I think this medicine is very good. It's us, the family heirloom of the Bai family, who doesn't want to stay young and beautiful. The aunt was very angry. Smelly girl. I didn't do it for you. How do you think your aunt died? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1405. Suddenly quiet. When the eldest aunt asked how Bai Wei's mother died, there was a gap of 3 to 5 seconds, and everyone was silent. This kind of silence made Bai Wei outside the house feel cold all over her body, and she couldn't help shivering. Sister-in-law, I am also very sad about Lanfang's death, but my eldest brother and I have studied this prescription, and we did not find any problems before giving it to you. Our original intention is also good intentions, and we hope that the family will be healthy and safe. Gossip, we can't control other people's mouths, but you really shouldn't be suspicious of Big Brother. We are all a family, we will not harm you. The speaker is Bai Wei's father. Bai Wei didn't expect that her father would be involved in their quarrel. My father has always been taciturn, and he hardly cares about anything other than seeing a doctor and getting medicine. It can be seen that the eldest aunt made a big fuss this time. Forget it, what can you come up with your half-baked medical skills, the aunt said disdainfully. The uncle was a little annoyed, and said coldly, what about the old man? The old man was not only famous all over the world, but he was also famous in half of Wenzhou. His medical skills can't be wrong, right? Even the old man didn't see anything wrong with this prescription. You have soft ears, and you can't wait to hear a few gossips from others and make the family restless. Don't be afraid of 10,000, just in case. I can't control others. Anyway, Beiying and Beizi's medicine must be stopped. Mom. My cousin Bai Yingqi called out. If you still treat me as your mother, stop the medicine for me, the aunt insisted. Bai Wei's father said, sister-in-law, you can stop the medicine, but I have to remind you that once the medicine is stopped, if you want to continue it in the future, it will have no effect. Bai Ying became anxious, and said, Mom. Just let me continue to eat. I would rather die beautifully at 50 than live to be old and ugly at 80. Are you stupid? When a person dies, he loses everything. What's the use of being beautiful? The eldest aunt scolded non-stop, the cousin cried and made noises, mixed with the uncle's irritated whispering. All of a sudden, the family was really in chaos. Bai Wei listened silently for a while, then quietly exited, just pretend she wasn't back. Walking out of the house and looking at the outside world, she was full of confusion and didn't know where to go. Just stop and go aimlessly. Before I knew it, I came to the embankment again. Standing here, you can see Musician's school in the distance. Thinking of the first time I saw him, he was lazily lying on the grass and taking a nap in the morning. He was such a bad guy, he must have skipped class that day, right? Thinking of him makes me sad, I want to cry. She sat down, embraced herself, looked at the ripples of the river in confusion, imagined that she would also become the water in there, and go with the waves. No matter where she went, she just wanted to leave, just wanted to leave. There is no conclusion on whether the medicine can be taken or not. There is no basis for whether my mother's illness is due to taking medicine. There are many causes of senile dementia, genetic factors, vascular factors, chronic damage of poisons, long-term depression, or hyperlipidemia. High blood pressure may induce senile dementia. Like my aunt felt that something was wrong but couldn't explain why, so she probably told her not to tell others. She has been eating for 5 years, will she be like her mother in the future? gradually become stupid and forget everything? There was a sudden sinking on her shoulders, and looking sideways, it was Musician who put on the coat for her. "Why are you here?" she asked in surprise. "The people in the hospital said that you asked for leave. I'm here to try my luck," he said casually, and sat down beside her. Bai Wei stared at him blankly, feeling unbelievable. When she missed him, he happened to come. "Don't be stubborn with me, okay?" Musician sighed helplessly, and grabbed the weeds beside him. "It's said that the female junior is holding gold bricks, so I just want to hug a few more bricks, can't I?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1406. Bai Wei said, "In the future, when you meet a younger and more beautiful girl, you will feel that the golden brick is too heavy. No one can say for sure what will happen in the future. Now you think that I am young and unreliable, so is it true that older men must be reliable?" Musician was not too shy, and continued, "The world is as black as crows, and there is a risk of changing one's heart anyway. Why don't you choose a young, handsome, and rich one who will pamper you and love you, right?" Bai Wei looked at him and murmured, "Your mouth has always been smelly and bad." Musician still acted like a rascal. "What's wrong with my mouth? You haven't kissed me before, how do you know?" Before he finished speaking, Bai Wei suddenly pressed his lips against him unexpectedly. Musician was dumbfounded. Her courage came suddenly and inexplicably, her lips pressed against her lips, and she retreated quickly after the soft touch. Bai Wei repeated again in a low voice, "It stinks and is bad." Then, "Run away." Musician watched helplessly as she ran far away. His stuck brain slowly resumed functioning, his heart seemed to have just reacted, beating wildly. He couldn't help but think, are they reconciled? Immediately afterwards, I thought, run away after kissing, are you going to be cowardly? Are you cowardly? I must kiss back tomorrow. Musician's heart was rippling, his whole body was floating, and he was about to float to the clouds. Bai Wei kissed him. Take the initiative to kiss him. Unable to suppress the joy, Musician got up and shouted towards the river, "Ah!" Bai Wei, who ran away, couldn't help but staggered and almost fell. Turning around and looking at the tiny figure, she smiled sweetly and bitterly, like a madman. After Musician returned home, he even dreamed about coming back in person. He was so excited that he couldn't sleep, and got up in the middle of the night to watch the video and study his kissing skills. After staying up for half a night, my eyes were red, but my whole body was radiant and extremely excited. He thought that he had finally come to the end of his suffering, but he never thought that in terms of suffering, this was just the beginning. Bai Wei was gone. The Bai family thought she had moved to the hospital dormitory. The hospital received her leave note and thought she had gone home. The two sides misunderstood her. When they found out, she had been missing for 7 or 8 days. No one knows where she went. Musician was about to fall out at home. Whether he spoke harshly or made trouble for no reason, he tried to force Master Mu to send someone out to find Bai Wei. I have been looking for it for more than a month, but there is no news. Gradually, there were some bad rumors on the street, saying that Bai Wei did not run away from home by herself, but eloped with a man, otherwise why did she leave when she was so good? Rumors and rumors have always spread more and more dirty. A few days later, the rumors became that Bai Wei not only eloped with a man, but also got pregnant, saying that she had a nose and eyes, as if she had seen it with her own eyes. Musician was suddenly ill. He had a persistent low-grade fever and couldn't eat. After a few days, the fever would come back again. After a few days, he became haggard. Master Mu was heartbroken at home. It's a crime. It's a crime. The housekeeper advised him, the young master is still young, so it is inevitable that he will be obsessed. The first time you fall in love, you always go all out, without reservation, pure without any impurities, and the pain of not getting what you want in the end is even more painful and bitter. Who are you here to suffer? She's fine outside. You don't need to worry about it, Master Mu cursed angrily while standing by the bed. Mu Zishuan coughed a few times and asked, "Did you find her?" The butler sighed softly, "I found it. I was afraid you would be impulsive, so I didn't tell you." "Where is she?" Mu Zishuan asked. The butler looked at Master Mu. "Give him the address," Master Mu said angrily, "let him go, no one else." Lying on the bed, Mu Zishuan moved the corner of his mouth and showed a faint smile. "Thanks, Dad. Good night. Summer is so sad, my throat hurts, and the medicine is so bad, I hope something good will happen to heal me recently. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again." Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 1407. With the news of Bai Wei, Mu Zishuan's health soon recovered. Being young still has the advantages of being young. The recovery speed is amazingly fast. 2 days ago he was still sick and lacking energy, and 2 days later he was that radiant young man again. The driver drove Mu Zishuan to see Bai Wei. It's a city away, which is considered to be Bai Wei's mother's natal home, but Bai Wei didn't disturb her uncle and aunt, but secretly asked her cousin to find a job for her. She came suddenly, and it was difficult for her cousin to help her find a suitable job for a while. It happened that her cousin was working as a conductor in the theater, so she found an acquaintance and thought of a way to arrange for Bai Wei to do some odd jobs in the theater. When Mu Zishuan found her, it was already very late, and the backstage of the theater was empty, only Bai Wei was left alone. Her work is very complicated, mainly to help clean up the costumes, take the dirty ones to wash, take the old ones to mend, and then put them neatly according to the number, and the matching belts, shoes, and socks also need to be sorted and cleaned. After seeing Bai Wei, Mu Zishuan's first reaction was to breathe a sigh of relief. God knows how he got through all this time. Frightened during the day, nightmares at night, dreaming that this little idiot was cheated and robbed outside, especially she is so beautiful, what should I do if I meet gangsters and hooligans? As soon as her eyes were closed, she was dragged into the alley by a wretched and greasy man. It's terrible. Now seeing that she is safe and sound, and her fair cheeks are healthy and rosy, I can finally feel at ease. Bai Wei turned around with a high stack of costumes in her arms. The costumes were stacked too high, blocking her view, so she could only walk in the direction she wanted. After walking about 10 steps, she bumped into a person unpreparedly. A lot of costumes fell to the ground, and she saw Mu Zishuan's face. Bai Wei froze, staring at him blankly. Mu Zishuan bent down, picked up the costumes on the ground one by one, and asked her, "Where do you put them?" Bai Wei froze for a moment, raised a hand, and pointed to 2 slightly old clothes baskets not far away. "You wash all these clothes by yourself?" Mu Zishuan asked as he walked over with his costume in his arms. Bai Wei looked at him for a while, then walked over with the remaining costumes in her arms, and replied in a low voice, "There are washing machines in the theater. It's tiring to have a washing machine. So many clothes, put them in, take them out, and hang them up one by one. After drying, you have to collect the clothes, and you have to fold them." Mu Zishuan frowned, as if she was here abused. Bai Wei listened silently, and after a while, asked him, "Why are you here?" Mu Zishuan said coolly, "You lied to me, and played me around. Why don't you allow me to chase after you to collect debts?" Usually Bai Wei would scold him in embarrassment when he was glib, but this time he was exceptionally silent. Mu Zishuan didn't know what happened to her, so he asked, when are you going back? I won't go back, Bai Wei said with her head down. Aren't you going back? Mu Zishuan asked, are you going to stay in this wretched place for the rest of your life? It's pretty good here, stay for a lifetime. Fart, Mu Zishuan yelled, it's not the cowherd and the weaver girl, what kind of magpie bridge meeting is there? It's so far away, I'm so anxious to see you once. Bai Wei's eyes turned red, she bit her lower lip, and fell silent again. Mu Zishuan looked at her for a while, his eyes were filled with haze, he suddenly turned around, went to the actor's vanity mirror and rummaged through boxes and boxes. Bai Wei was taken aback, what are you doing? Don't rummage around. As if he had never heard of it, Mu Zishuan picked up a bottle of cosmetic cream and applied it to his face. You can't use other people's things. Hey! You stop! Bai Wei ran over to stop him, but Mu Zishuan threw the makeup cream aside, took fake eyebrows and beard from the display shelf, and glued it on his face. He took 2 more silver-haired wigs, put one on himself, put another on Bai Wei's head, and pulled her to the mirror. Is it so important to be 5 years old? When I am 80 years old, you are 85. How big is the difference? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1408. Mu Zishuan in the mirror had 2 deep and thick nasolabial folds drawn on his face, and his wig was also crooked. This is not an old man, he is obviously a funny clown, but his serious and focused expression broke Bai Wei's heart. Does the age gap make you so uncomfortable? Mu Zishuan supported her shoulders, looking at a man and a woman in the mirror, so uncomfortable that you even ran away from home. Bai Wei's eyelashes fluttered slightly, tears fell, I'm scared, I don't want to go home. Mu Zishuan asked her, what are you afraid of? Bai Wei closed her eyes and said softly, in the future, maybe I will become like my mother, my memory will get worse and worse, and I will forget everything, I can't harm you, you can find another girl. Did you forget that there is still me? I have a good memory and I will never forget, Mu Zishuan said, besides, when you reach your mother's age, medical technology must have become very advanced. Maybe this disease is very serious. It can be cured easily, so you run away from home because of this, it is too unreasonable to worry about it. Bai Wei opened her eyes and looked at him tearfully. Why did he feel so stupid when he said that? You're just a little fool, don't you know? Mu Zishuan couldn't help pinching her face, even if you're really worried about this kind of thing, what's the use of hiding? Do you know what to do now? Bai Wei asked in a daze, do, what? Find a good job, work hard to earn money, and save for future treatment, Mu Zishuan asked, how much is your monthly salary now? Bai Wei lowered her head with a guilty conscience, and said in a voice like a mosquito, 62 yuan. Mu Zishuan, oh. The sarcasm is very strong. Bai Wei twitched the corners of her lips, also a little stubborn, anyway, I don't want to go home. Mu Zishuan said, you can go to my house, my father is looking for a nurse, and he can earn 300 to 500 a month no matter what, isn't it better than washing stinky clothes here? To your house, Bai Wei felt awkward, isn't it appropriate? What's inappropriate? Didn't you used to be a nurse? You just picked up your professional skills. Besides, taking care of my dad must be easier than taking care of a bunch of patients in the hospital. He always speaks very hard, what is pinch after pinch? It's not booger. Bai Wei slandered in her heart, and at the same time was considering Mu Zishuan's words. One thing he said is right, if it is really possible to get that kind of disease, it is useless to avoid it passively, at least start saving some money now, so that you can actively treat it in the future. She glanced at Mu Zishuan in confusion, if your father knew about our relationship. What's our relationship? Mu Zishuan smiled. He said, didn't we break up? It's clear and innocent. What's there to worry about? You think I'm young, so I'll wait for 3 years, and I will pursue you after 3 years. In the past 3 years, you have been snatched away by some blind guy. You can rest assured, I can rest assured, you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Any problems and troubles seemed to become insignificant immediately when they came into his mouth. Bai Wei was persuaded by him in a daze, packed her simple luggage, and followed him into the car. No matter how unwilling Master Mu was to bring him back to Mu's house, he could only accept his son's arrangement. In a person's long growth period, 15 or 16 years old can be said to be a watershed. A thin line separates heaven and hell, some soar to the sky, and some never recover from the fall. Master Mu really didn't want to see his son lose his mind. Although there is a compromise, there are 3 rules. Bai Wei can work as a caregiver in Mu's family, but during this period, no troubles are allowed, let alone any gossip that will damage the reputation. Mu Zixuan agreed to all of them. Promise to study hard. Make progress every day, he promised, smiling like a bright Sunday. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1409. The servants of Mu's family gradually knew that there was a new nurse at home. Mu Zixuan was also very cautious, taking into account her reputation. He only dared to tease her when no one was around, to get over his addiction. Rao is so, he is also happy. As long as he thinks that Bai Wei is under the same roof as him, he will feel at ease like raising a child bride. However, there will always be some twists and turns in things. Not long after, the Bai family got the news from somewhere that Bai Wei was at Mu's house, and they came to visit and wanted to take Bai Wei back. The Bai family booked a marriage for Bai Wei. The man who married Bai Suxan earlier had a cousin who was also from a rich family. Hearing that the women of the Bai family were different, he was moved. After seeing Bai Wei's photos, he was more satisfied, so he took the initiative to discuss marriage with the Bai family. This is a good thing for the Bai family, especially since Bai Wei has been away from home for more than 2 months, and the rumors outside are quite unbearable, and the loss can only be stopped in time if she gets married. Although arranged marriages are no longer popular nowadays, most of the marriages between men and women still rely on middlemen to match the bridge, and it is not uncommon for parents to decide who to marry. But if Bai Wei really married, her husband and aunt's man would be brothers, and it would be very embarrassing in terms of seniority. Bai Wei disagreed, and was also chilled, refusing to go back to Bai's house. When the 2 sides were quarreling, Mu Zixuan was going to argue with the Bai family, but was dissuaded by Mr. Mu. What's the use of you going? That's right, he is a 15-year-old kid, what confidence does he have to argue with the Bai family? In the end, Master Mu stepped forward and sent the Bai family away. Bai Wei thought that it was because Mr. Mu was highly respected, and the family backed down because they didn't want to offend Mr. Mu, but Mu Zixuan knew very well that the reason why the Bai family would leave was because of Mr. Dad's promise. The old man promised them that he would offer 3 times the bride price than the other party. This is actually equivalent to buying Bai Wei from the Bai family. I heard that the preparation of the prescription is extremely difficult, and it is not easy to raise a woman. Perhaps it is human nature that the Bai family does not want to make a loss-making business. Mu Zixuan didn't dare to let Bai Wei know about these things, for fear that she would be even more sad. At the same time, he also clearly realized that he was too weak. The only thing he could give her was to make her happy when he was depressed, and for the rest, he could only rely on his father. I really want to grow up quickly. I want to use my own shoulders to prop up a piece of sky for her without relying on other people's strength. After the end of the 2nd grade is the summer vacation, and the next 3rd grade will be the final sprint stage of test preparation. Master Mu called Mu Zixuan into his study, and on the table were several copies of admission brochures of foreign universities. Mu Zixuan looked at Master Mu in astonishment. Didn't we agree last time? What are you talking about? Master Mu looked at him expressionlessly. I promise you to take in Baiwei, on the condition that you put your mind on your studies. There are good universities in China, so why do you have to go abroad? Mu Zixuan frowned tightly. He was very resistant to going abroad. In China, you can come back whenever you want, for a week, a month, every year, and holidays, as long as there are holidays, but once you go abroad, how can you come back without a year or a half? Master Mu said, going abroad will be better for your future development. These schools are all good. You choose one. I will arrange for you to transfer to an international class next semester. The textbooks used by the students there are all from abroad. Transition. Mu Zixuan's face was gloomy, and he didn't speak for a long time. Master Mu thought for a while, and said again, you need to go out and broaden your horizons. Your problem now is that your vision is too narrow, and you only focus on the 3 acres of land in front of you. What will happen in the future? In the eyes of men, infatuation has never been an advantage, but instead they will be emotional and not courageous enough. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1410. Master Mu was busy talking about his sons going abroad, and Baiwei, as a personal caregiver, naturally knew about it. Are you really going abroad? She approached Mu Zixuan privately to ask about it. Mu Zixuan cast a sideways glance at her. Can't bear to part with me. Who can't bear you anymore? Baiwei looked away. After a while, I couldn't help asking him again, after you go abroad, when will you come back? Mu Zixuan didn't speak, just looked at her and smiled. Baiwei was made very uncomfortable by his expression. She blushed and said, ask you when you will come back. Why are you smiling? Don't say anything. I laugh because I am happy, Mu Zixuan said cheerfully. I am happy because someone hates me. Baiwei bit her lip, turned her face to leave. I'm not serious, I won't tell you. Hey, don't go. Mu Zixuan grabbed her and asked with a smile, have you ever played beast chess? Baiwei blinked. What's wrong with beast chess? Elephants can eat tigers, tigers can eat cats, cats can eat mice, and mice can eat elephants. The corners of Mu Zixuan's mouth curled up. Don't worry, I can't bear you either. Baiwei was confused. But after a few days, she finally understood who the mouse Mu Zixuan was talking about. Mrs. Mu, who was far away, came back excitedly. Being away from home all year round because of filming is a decent way to say it to the outside world. In fact, Mr. Mu and Mrs. Mu have separated for many years. There was no divorce because Mr. Mu cherished his son's reputation. These days, divorce is a major event and will be criticized by others. Parents are divorced, and even taking their children outside will be inferior to others for no reason. Master Mu suppressed Mrs. Mu's affairs and made her a nominal wife just for the sake of his precious son's reputation. This was the first time Baiwei saw Mrs. Mu. Mrs. Mu's name is Luo Junkai. She is 36 or 7 years old. She is well maintained. She looks young and beautiful, and her clothes are exquisite and fashionable. It is said that her original name was Luo Hongfang. When she debuted, she thought it was too rustic, so she changed her name. After the name change, it really went smoothly. She became popular in singing and acting for 2 or 3 years, and she retired after marrying Mr. Mu. It still feels quite novel, because Baiwei watched a movie played by Luo Junkai when she was a child. The person on the screen suddenly appeared in front of him, and he couldn't help but take a few more glances. But Luo Junkai obviously didn't have a good impression of her. As soon as she walked in, she saw a young and beautiful girl next to Mr. Mu, and her face immediately turned a little cold. What's the matter with letting Zishuan go abroad? Luo Junkai asked straight to the point. Master Mu frowned, how do you know? Don't worry about how I know about this, anyway, I don't agree. Luo Junkai sat down, raised her legs gracefully and somewhat pamperingly, the soft lines of her calves were exposed under the skirt, she was wearing the most popular glass stockings, paired with stiletto high heels, she felt a strong sense of femininity. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking, she said with a sneer, her fair fingers were painted with red nail polish, charming and bright. If you go abroad for 3 to 5 years, you won't be able to come back at all, then who will the property fall into, on the head, who can tell clearly? Master Mu was obviously angry, and said in a deep voice, I'm not dead yet. Yeah, you're still in good health. Luo Junkai's smile became even more sarcastic, even if the boss doesn't get the property, 3 to 5 years is enough for you to have another baby. What's the matter? I think I'm disgusting now, so I want to temporarily. If I change the air, my son will be driven abroad. You are simply unreasonable. Master Mu looked at her with great annoyance. I sent Zishuan abroad for his own good. Now many people want to go abroad but they can't. Either they have no connections or no money. Zishuan has opportunities like this should be seized. There are still good universities in China, why do you have to go abroad? Luo Junkai said coldly, if you dare to send my son abroad, don't blame me for embarrassing you. Do you feel it? I omitted some parts, I will omit the unimportant plots. The emotional development in the front is written in detail to shape the characters. The plot will be connected with Murong Cheng and Muzi at the end. Believe me, I am very reliable.